Hey everyone, I hope you're going well. It's Kelsey here. This is Garden Variety Knits. If you are coming back, it's so good to see you again. Thanks for returning. And if you are new, this is just your classic kind of knitting video project updates. This will be a pretty standard video. I am Kelsey, like I say. I live in Switzerland, but I'm from New Zealand originally. I like knitting mostly clothes for myself. That's mostly what's happening at the moment, and I've been doing it for like a couple of years, so just kind of in that medium experience level, but I am definitely quite far down the rabbit hole as far as, you know, spending a lot of my time like thinking about knitting as well as actually knitting. Anyway, yeah, really nice to have you, and if you enjoy this video, please feel free to, you know, subscribe, maybe give it a thumbs up, comment, all those things that YouTube enjoys, and I also enjoy because I really like knowing that I'm not just like talking into the void. Today might be a little bit weird because I actually recorded, well, I talked for an hour yesterday, but it turned out it didn't save because, anyway, it didn't save. So I'm gonna have the slightly weird experience of trying to remember what I have actually said today and what I only remember saying because I said it yesterday. So I hope that this is coherent. Anyway, today I'm going to be going through, I've got one finished object and a new cast on from my last video. And then I'll only go through like another couple of works in progress. And then probably just talk a little bit about some plans and inspiration, that kind of thing. Plus, hopefully, it's been a little bit less time since I last recorded, so there's a little bit less to go through today, so I'm hoping I'll have time for some kind of slightly random digressions and chatter. So yeah, get comfy, and I hope you enjoy. So, first thing, I have finished object. So last week I think I'd started the cast on for this, but this is my test knit for Park Williams, or Park and Knit. And it's called the Crumpet Camisole. Ta-da! So this is all over lace camisole. It's knit in sport weight on, I think the pattern recommends 4.5mm needles, but I ended up sizing down, which I'll talk about in a second. And I used the Rerum Natura Antigone, which is 100% linen yarn. And I love it. It's, yeah, the yarn was a great knitting experience. I think that the recommended yarn it's like a cotton and wool and maybe a bit of alpaca blend. Not 100% sure I'll put it on. But I think they're like a US company, and I'd been keen to try linen, so I'm quite happy I got this. I think last time I had just done some swatching and I had worked out that I needed to go down a needle size, and I think the reason, I'm not normally a loose knitter. I would say that I try quite hard to just let the needle size the stitches, but I think that because this yarn in its like unblocked state is quite like stiff, and it doesn't want to bend, it doesn't want to curl. So I think that it like doesn't want to go around very tight angles, so as I was producing stitches, it kind of, the coil in it, or like the kind of spring stiffness, I guess wiriness, kind of made it add a bit of slack into the system. So that's my suspicion for why I ended up using 4mm needles. Anyway, this is so cute. I will definitely insert footage and pictures of me trying it on, because I won't, it's easier than showing you here. And I think it's just adorable, like such a cute summer garment. It's a super easy lace pattern. It's 7-stitch repeat and then 4 rows, but every second row is plain, so there's only 2 rows in the chart that you need to learn, so I memorized it pretty quickly. And it's a very quick knit because, well, it's written to be cropped. Of course you can lengthen it, but I made it as cropped as suggested, and there's no like edging or finishings to do. Like once you, like these edges are just raw like cast off stitches or edge stitches, and I was honestly surprised at how smooth it looks, considering that you're kind of doing these stepwise cast offs. But I think it's just, yeah, it kind of drapes and it's just like the weight pulls it down to make, and I guess the lace as well means that it's harder to see that it's kind of out of character. Yeah, I guess if it was like all stockinette and then you had these kind of edges with pulling, it would look different, but as it is, it just kind of looks like part of the lace pattern. And yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I think in the end this project took me a very short time, but I think I also was knitting a lot. Just a disclaimer, I normally work full-time and knitting is just whatever, but at the moment I'm taking a break from work, so I am doing a lot more knitting than I normally would. So this is a lot for me, but I worked pretty much exclusively on this for a few days. And yeah, it was a bit addictive as well. The lace repeats kind of have that like, ooh, I want to finish this repeat that some people talk about with stripes. So last time I was talking a little bit about the cast on edge. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this, but I ended up going for a cable cast on, and the swatches, I just did a normal long tail cast on. And maybe you can kind of see, like here, there's not really like a definitive edge, it just kind of stops. At least that's how it looks to me. Like the long tail cast on kind of results in these bumps on the front, like almost like pearl bumps. Whereas I think the cable cast on, it looks slightly bit more like a chain or like a twisted edge. So I think I'm quite pleased that I made that change, and I was concerned it would be too tight, but I think I intentionally did it a bit loosely. So did I even size up needles? Yes, no, I did. I sized up to 4.5mm needles for the cast on, and I think that was a good decision, just given that I was doing a cabled cast on, and I find it a little trouble. Like I said last time, it's a little bit harder to space the stitches out than, like, I'm quite used to doing that on a long tail cast on. Yeah, so that was good. Oh, the other thing about this is because it's quite little and lacy, it uses very little yarn. So I had one ball of this Antigone, and this is how much I have left. Sorry, it's a bit messy. I think this color is just like natural as well. It'll be on my Ravelry project, which should be linked below, along with everything else I talk about, project details, yarn names, and you can always comment to ask as well if there's anything you want to know about. But yeah, this is how much I have left, plus I knit two pretty generous swatches. Like, I don't know, that's like half a front section. So yeah, I think, I'm not totally sure what I'll do with the leftovers. I'm honestly considering just buying more of this yarn to make a different garment because I quite like it. Oh, that is one thing, is that when I first put this off the blocking boards, the linen, and I think people talk about this with linen in general, is that it's quite like, as it dries really stiff and kind of crunchy, and you have to like let it ease into shape. So this is the drape I have now, but like I have a video that I'll insert of me like holding the camisole straight off the blocking board, and it looks like a piece of paper or a piece of cardboard or something. So I wore this for a day around the house before I even took my post-blocking measurements and stuff like that, just to make sure that it had relaxed into kind of a more reasonable shape. But the blocking really helped open the lace because, like I say, I think the stitch, like this yarn needs encouragement to create like tight bends, and so the lace looked kind of like, pre-blocking it looked quite just like a whole bunch of looping coils, and then afterwards it settled into a slightly more appropriate shape. I think that the other main kind of consideration I have with this, or rather, I don't know, for me it's like a little challenge with this garment, is that I don't really know how I want to style it. So in the video and photos that I took, I just wore a nude bra under it. And I think that's also how Park had it styled in the picture that came with the pattern. which probably, I don't know if that'll be in the final test pattern, I mean in the non-test version. I don't love that for me because I don't own any nude bras that blend particularly well with my skin tone. Like they're good for under white light garments, but not if you can actually see them. And I don't like them particularly. Like if I had a cute one, then maybe I would wear it. So that's one option, is I could buy like a cuter nude bra, because I think that just reduces the way, like the silhouette of the bra standing out and like taking away from the shape of this. I also can and probably will just wear this as a bikini cover up, so like with a bikini top underneath and, you know, like tie strings. I think that will probably be quite a cute look. I haven't tried it yet. And so I'm also tempted to like knit or crochet a bikini like tie style bra, because I think that could be a cute look in general, like kind of very summery. But I don't know if it's the only way I want to style this. And then my third thought was maybe wearing it with a like slightly contrasting strapless like bandeau top. So I was thinking like under this like a lighter white. And I wanted that idea so much that I tried to create it. So I will show you in my whip section what I've been working on. I think it will work. Like I still think that the look is quite cute, but one of the issues is that the silhouette of this, the neckline and the armhole are in line, like they happen at the same time, which means that the neckline's quite low, which to me is not an issue particularly. I mean, it's a completely lacy garment, so the neckline's not doing a lot anyway. And I think it looks nice, but I think that the problem is that if I want to wear a strapless like bandeau style top, it'll have to, it's just like one level across the front. There's no scoop to it. There's no shape on that neckline. And for it to be high enough on the like cups, it ends up a bit higher even than this neckline, like with the one I was trying on. So I think that the solution for that is I could undo this once I've got, you know, all my test knit information. And then I could actually just change where I work maybe just the front neckline to raise it by like 1 or 2 lace repeats. So basically just only work the armhole shaping section, you know, add some height and then work the neckline shaping. And I think that's a pretty easy mod to make. So I'm considering that honestly, so that then the kind of bandeau bra underneath can kind of have a bit of space above and below, which I think will look good just aesthetically. So yeah, I guess that is the one thing, is like fully transparent garment. What do you wear underneath? Mostly from like a cuteness, like to complement this, you know, like I want this to be the star of the show, but yeah, not like nothing's gonna hide completely, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I guess my final option, I'm not, the thing I've made that was trying to make this bandeau style thing, I don't think it's gonna be what I end up wearing with this. So if you know any good places to buy like bandeau style bras, I've noticed in the teenagers around town that tube tops are definitely back in. So maybe like a tube bralette, which is basically what I'm talking about, like in terms of bandeau type thing. Maybe that's also gonna be easy to find in like wherever the teenagers shop. So yeah, anyway, any extra suggestions I haven't thought of, let me know. Or if you know of any patterns that you think would work well. I guess the one option that I have thought of but kind of discarded is a lot of the popular bralettes, because they have triangular cups and this has kind of this scoop shape. And I thought that having the 2 different silhouettes might be a bit distracting. So I was really looking for something in this tank top shape. And I actually couldn't find many bralettes like that. The one pattern I found that kind of looked like it would fit the same silhouette was the Totally tank top, is that what it's called? Oh no, the As Friends tank by Jessie Made Designs. So that might work with it as well. I was considering knitting that up. Okay, that's all for this one. The bottom line is that you should definitely get it when it comes out. It's very cute. It's very quick. it's adorable. You should knit it in like a linen or a cotton. Because it's lace, I found that, and it's like not too tiny, I don't know, I just found the knitting experience was really nice. And all of the worries about, like, this is actually slightly negative ease, like 3 inches, but the lace is what gives it its stretch. Like it's kind of like a meshy netting sort of thing, so you don't need to worry about the normal issues with like plant fibers stretching out or like not retaining their shape type thing, I think. Yeah, anyway, I love it. Highly recommend. So that's my finished objects done. Okay, so next, as promised, I started working on a strapless bralette type thing. So this has had mixed results. I had a look for patterns. I couldn't find any I really liked. Special mention, I guess, to Jacqueline Cieslak. Hold on. Yeah, so special mention to Jacqueline Cieslak's Bloom design, which is a strapless kind of tube top, but I think it's got a bit of positive ease except for the elasticated things, and I didn't think that would work under an already negative ease garment. So I decided to draft something myself, and I I made a little spreadsheet. I did some calculations, I did some measurements, and I used some fingering weight, well actually I think it's sport weight yarn that I bought it without a plan, which I don't tend to do, and this is why I didn't tend to do it. Because then I used it for the wrong thing, so that was bad. Yarn choice, we'll come to it, it's not great. I was trying to work out like how to have a garment that I could put on and off, especially since the yarn I was using wasn't pure wool or anything. It had a lot of cotton in it, so I didn't think it was going to do a lot of stretching and retaining its shape. So I didn't think I could get something that could stretch far enough to like put over my head and shoulders or over my hips, but still be like snug enough to just stay in place. So that was my first conundrum. And I remembered at some point that that laces exist, like lacing up a garment. So I decided that would be like kind of like corset style lacing. So I was like, oh, great, genius. So I decided to draft something that I would lace up at the back. So that was one thing kind of solved. And that also gave me some wiggle room with my numbers. It didn't need to fit like a glove because I just had like a certain width that I was intending the laced up section to be, but the laces themselves could kind of adjust width to my body, which is good. So with all of that said, I have knitted this much of like a bandeau style thing. So it's meant to just sit around like this. You can see that this bottom edge is picot that like flips up. I mean, it's unblocked, but even unblocked, it doesn't flip up when it's actually stretched across like my body, across my ribs, but it is annoying me. And yeah, so I cast this off a couple days ago just to try it out and check and work out what kind of top edging I would need. And the cast off edge, it kind of worked at the front, although it cut in a little bit, like it was clearly inelastic, but at the back it kind of really rolled down. I'll probably insert a couple pictures of me putting this on. I just used some shoelaces for the lacing because I don't own any nice like ribbons. I will definitely be looking for something nicer. I thought about and discarded the concept of making an I-cord lacing, because who wants to knit 3 meters of I-cord? Not me. And I think ribbons would be really cute actually. So my plan is now I've put in a lifeline, and my plan is to knit and fold over and do a folded hem. And then the added benefit of that is that I think I can lace the ribbon, like the midpoint of the ribbon can sit in the middle of, like laced through that folded hem, and then it can then go through the lacing, like eyelets at the back, which by the way are here. I don't know if you can see them. that can add some extra stability and like cinching at the top is the plan. We'll see. I was, like I say, because of the shape of the Crumpet Camisole, I'm a bit concerned that this will sit above the neckline, so I didn't want to knit it too high. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to be wearing the two together anyway. So I should probably just do what looks good, because this might be a completely separate garment. I don't know if I'm going to wear it. That's not really my style, is like a lace-up tube top. But it's actually looking pretty cute. So maybe I will, especially since tube tops seem to be back in. I don't know. I will note that from trying it on, that it stays on, like it fits quite well, and the laces work quite well to make it fitted. But I am still, so it's not going to have like a really sudden, like all in 1 second wardrobe malfunction, but I could also tell that just over time, in particular, the back kind of rides down and then the front kind of follows it. So I can just tell it's the sort of thing I'd have to be like tugging and just making sure it's in place like every 20 minutes. And I am not, I'm not about that life. I don't wear things that require adjusting. If I have garments that require adjusting, they make their way to the bottom of my wardrobe and I never wear them until I eventually get rid of them, because it's just, yeah. I like clothes that stay where they are and, you know, they're easy to wear. So yeah, that's kind of my order of priorities. So this has been like I say, a partial success. I was pretty disappointed when I kind of nearly finished it 2 days ago, because it's really not what I want in a lot of ways. But I'm actually, with a bit of distance, I think it's okay. I did this on quite small needles, 2.5 mils. I wanted like a supportive fabric, and I think that's worked out. It completely took over all my knitting for the time I was doing it though. Like partly it took the place of all my sock knitting, but also just all knitting actually. And I think that I knit this so quickly and so obsessively, partly just because like I had my spreadsheet and my vision and I needed to like try and get through it as fast as possible to find out if I'd done it right, like if it was gonna work. Same as last video, I was talking about playing yarn chicken with my ripple bralette and just obsessively knitting it until I was sure whether or not I would have enough yarn. So with this, it was like obsessively trying to make sure that like it would fit and it wasn't just gonna completely like flop. So I don't know, self-drafting, I think it is a little bit stressful. That's all I'm saying. And I guess from the other perspective, maybe this is why when we watch videos by knitting designers or we just see their Instagram, it seems like they're like doing, you know, orders of magnitude more knitting than everyone else. I wonder if it's that drive of like needing to see something come to life. Anyway, so what did I do here? I started with a picot edging just because I thought it would be cute. I'll link it below, the tutorial that I used for this. But the difference is that I did 5 rows before my picot row, and then I did 7 after because the cast on edge and the whip stitches added a little bit of height. Then I will link the blog post that I referenced for this, but I added vertical bust darts, and I did like, I think I did 8 centimeters of that, and I did 14 increase rounds. And then I knit flat for a bit, and then I started doing some decreases, but I did my decreases under the arms instead. And you can kind of see that it shapes, like it kind of curves downwards because of these, like the bust darts kind of add a diagonal wedge of fabric here. When that's on, it's kind of meant to create a 3-dimensional shape so that the panel that's between the bust darts kind of goes this way, and then you've got an angle, and then the back wraps around. But I still think that I probably should have done some short rows to kind of take a wedge. I don't know how to show this. Like a wedge of fabric out from the side panel, like the back panels, because I think it probably would have been better if it was shorter at the back than the front, because the front has to obviously go over my boobs. which makes it, yeah, just like more fabric ends up shorter, whereas at the back all that fabric just is flat and looks a bit like too tall. So I think I should have added short rows to compensate for some of the kind of diagonal effect that we get from these bust increases. But overall I think it's pretty good, and I think that the lacing is such a good closure. Like, I can see why that was the way to fit like dresses and corsets and bodices for so long, honestly. Okay, let's talk about the things I really don't like though. And that's basically just the yarn. So first of all, the color. I was like, you know, I was talking about the Crumpet Camisole, I said maybe like a lighter white. And for some reason it's not that I couldn't see what the color was, it's that I didn't stop and ask myself what this color was. But it's a very yellow cream, and it clashes horribly with this. Okay, not that horribly, but like, it's not good. So I actually don't like it under it at all. And then on top of that, I'll show you the yarn. So the yarn is Lana Grossa Ecopuno, and it is a 72% cotton, 17% merino, 11% baby alpaca. So first of all, that baby alpaca doesn't belong in something that I'm trying to wear in the summer. I just kind of thought it would add, I don't know what I thought. I was like, oh, 11's not that big a percentage. Maybe it'll just add some soft halo without adding too much heat. I think that's wrong. Like, I think this is not a lot of fabric, but it's like a little bit longer over my ribs, and it was pretty warm, honestly, and a bit prickly. So the alpaca doesn't belong in it. I kind of just thought it might be okay. And then the cotton merino blend, I was kind of thinking, I haven't used the yarn, but everyone fawns over the Knitting for Olive cotton merino, and I was pretty interested in trying it out. I probably still will try it out. Honestly, maybe I'll make a better version in white of this once I can bring myself to knit it again. But yeah, everyone talks about cotton merino, how it's good. The merino adds some spring to the yarn, but not too much heat. And so I think when I saw the makeup of this yarn, I didn't look any further, but I should have examined the construction, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong actually, but I think the cotton merino yarn is just plied and spun. But this is, you won't be able to see, but it's chainette construction, and it's got kind of, I'm not sure whether the merino is part of the threads in the chainette, like in this kind of knitted casing, but there's definitely, at least the alpaca is kind of blown through it, and maybe the merino as well. So even less, like sub 30% wool content, because it's so, like, it's not spun, it's just kind of blown through, it traps a lot of air and therefore heat. So that's one consideration. And the second is, because the chainette, I think, is just the cotton, it has no spring or give or anything. So it's kind of the worst of both worlds. It has the heat of the animal fibers, but without their kind of memory. I mean, okay, this is unblocked, but it does clearly have a bit of stretch right now. So maybe the merino is doing more than I think, but I'm bracing myself for this to behave a lot more like an 100% cotton when I block it, and just over time as it stretches out. So yeah, big fail on the yarn selection for this. But I don't know, I still think it was a worthwhile experiment. I'm enjoying kind of dabbling in some self-drafting. I think I'm learning a lot, and I think if nothing else, it'll give me a lot of skills to adapt patterns to fit me well. But yeah, I do find it interesting how not relaxing it is to knit something where you're not sure of the result, whether it's that you're not sure that you have enough yarn, you're not sure whether it's gonna fit, like you're not sure how it'll block out. I can see why, and I've started doing this too, like people put a lot of time into like gauge swatching, or like, you know, mid-project blocks, just trying to envision the final, you know, object before you have put, you know, an entire project worth of time and energy into it. So yeah, I can also see the appeal of shawls. They seem like they don't have much that can go wrong in terms of fit. Anyway, so that's this. It's nearly done. I probably should just power through and make this folded hem, but I also don't have a ribbon yet, so I'll probably buy one soon, maybe in the next couple days. And I'm hoping it'll be a cute top in its own right. Okay, so I have just 2 more works in progress that I want to mention, and neither of them have a lot to talk about. So the first one is just my Mio Mighty, which is the one where I had been separated from the yarn I needed and then reunited. It hasn't been getting a lot of love because I think I'm not actually that excited about the final product. I've been noticing as I knit it how heavy it is, and it is like drops Belle, which is DK, knit quite tightly on 4mm needles, and it's just a dense gauge, dense fabric, and I just don't know how breathable it's going to be. So yeah, I'm not 100% on this, but I will show my progress. So this is it upside down. Actually, maybe I'll show, there's the armhole. And I think I mentioned in the past that I had done some short row bust shaping to add a bit of length around that area. And at the moment I'm just doing the front and the back panels. I'm probably pretty close on the front to doing the neckline shaping, and on the back I only think I have about 3 centimeters left. So I'm trying to power through to get to the 3 needle bind off, because then I'll be able to also try it on for the first time. Problem with the bottom up construction. I think I asked last video about what kind of, basically this is, I've knit this in quite a small size. I think I'm using the extra small stitch counts, but I am expecting this to block out a bit, at a bit of a larger gauge than the project specifies. But it's basically, it's negative ease on my bust, but I'm worried that that will mean it's not broad enough on my shoulders, because like I think my shoulder measurement and my bust measurement is roughly the same, but you can't really have a negative ease shoulder, like, because it's going to be a seam. You don't really get stretch across the shoulders, so I was a bit concerned about that. And Maya from Milays and Tinks, who I will link below, and this is not the last time you'll hear about her in this particular video either, but commented very helpfully to say that I could in fact do what I was imagining, which is add some increases to increase out the shoulder, like the width of the panel, and have slightly more stitches at the top of my shoulder. So I've been trying to do that. I've done it quite aggressively, quite honestly. I think I've done 5 sets of increases, which is basically I'm going to be adding more than 10% stitches across the width. So we'll see if it looks kind of funny to have that diagonal line, and I'm a bit worried about what it'll do to the sleeve shaping, if it's meant to come out of a vertical line and it's coming out of a slightly diagonal line, but I figure it's worth the experience, especially since like I say, I'm not overly excited about this project anymore, so I'd just like to get some knowledge out of it. Yeah, so I'm trying that, and then I'll be able to try it on to see what I think. One problem though is I've been doing that, so this has just gotten work in the last couple days, after I finished my Crumpet Camisole and after I kind of needed to take a break from my bandeau project. And I started my last ball of yarn, and now I'm scared I'm playing yarn chicken, because I thought I would start it like just as I was finishing off the front and back panels, because I don't know how much the sleeves are going to take. I don't know, I'm a bit nervous. Like these, you can see on the side view that like the front and back panels are actually like maybe a third of the length of the entire top, which makes sense because like, I don't know, it's quite a lot of space between your armpits and your shoulders. But yeah, just a bit concerned, which maybe, like I've said, will drive me to finish this sooner, because I need to know if I should order more. Anyway, that's my update there. And then my final update is that I have been putting in a little bit of work on my Belle Notte blouse, which is the one I'm like it's the long sleeved scoop neck kind of, not quite t-shirt, but like negative ease blouse top that I'm working on with the hand dyed yarn that I bought in New Zealand a couple of years back. And it's highly variegated, and I'm on the fence about how it's going to turn out. But the pattern is really lovely. I'll just insert a couple pictures from the pattern page. But yeah, I do really enjoy that. And it'll be nice to have done the pattern and kind of know my way around it, because I think I'll probably make another one in the future. So I am with this one. Last time I think I had bound off the body but not started the sleeves, but I picked up my sleeve stitches and, you know, picked up under the arms, and I'm doing my sleeves 2 at a time. So this is really fun because first of all, I have to do these sleeves on magic loop because they're like negative ease, quite little. And I don't have like small enough circulars for, what are these, 3mm needles. So I would have to be pulling loops anyway, and when you do it 2 at a time, you get to go like 2 half sleeves before you have to rearrange your needles, and you just have to swap yarn in the middle. So I find it actually overall less interruption than just doing normal sleeves on magic loop. And second, I can look at all this progress I've made, and like mentally double it. I can be like, oh, if I'd only been doing 1 sleeve, I'd have this much sleeve. But I know I don't have to start, like I know that once this is done, I'm done. So highly recommend. I fully understand the 2 at a time socks now. I'm probably going to do that next pair of socks as well. Of course, the disadvantage in general is that you end up with 2 ends of yarn. And I've kind of noticed that there's a bit of a knack to positioning your yarn when you finish, like when you put it down and pick up the next one. I think I tend to put it behind my work, and then you have to make sure that when you flip your work, you don't just keep flipping in the same direction, otherwise everything gets really twisted. You have to like flip it one way and then flip it the other way and kind of work the body around the yarn to make sure nothing's getting tangled. So with a bit of thought and like just noticing what's happening, that's pretty easy to work with, but I definitely just got things in a hopeless tangle a few times at the beginning just by being careless. So you have to like pay attention, but overall pretty good. The other thing is that I did some helical knitting on the body with 2 skeins of this yarn, but on the sleeves, because I'm just doing them 2 at a time and doing helical as well, I mean, I don't have enough. I could use one, like I have 2 balls of yarn. I could be using both the inner and the outer strand of each ball, but that seems like overkill. So I'm not doing helical knitting, and I'm noticing on the smaller circumference that it feels more like it's doing kind of stripe, like micro striping, than in the body where it felt like they were kind of just patches of different color. But I wonder how much of that is an illusion because it's less fabric, or maybe I'm just noticing like it's a feature of the dye color repeats. I'm not totally sure. Anyway, I'm not being too fussy about this one. It's highly variegated, and I'm just not like 100% convinced that I'm going to wear it anyway. But I do want to finish it just to see what it looks like, see what the pattern looks like. And like I say, I'm considering making this again. I'll probably size up. And then if I really never wear this, I might frog it and repurpose the yarn with a mohair to kind of soften it all a lot and make like a kind of a more dreamy sweater style thing. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not 100% sold either way. Okay, so that's works in progress. That's everything I wanted to go through. Nothing else has happened in my knitting life. But we'll talk a little bit about my plans for the future. So again, shout out to Maya, because I was watching her most recent video and she was talking a bit about how she, for the most part, if there's a pattern that's not size inclusive and she thinks she can reverse engineer it, she will do that. And that was just a little bit of useful input to kind of a conversation I've been having with myself recently. So there's a pattern I really like. or rather maybe even just like a photo that I really like, which is this Soul Top by Mochi Knits. And I really want to make it. I'm quite inspired to just like, I want exactly that picture. To the point where I went looking for that yarn, which is the Camarosa Livetand. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like a linen 100% but chainette yarn. And if I'd found it, I probably would have bought it and bought the pattern. But I've reconsidered a little bit because I noticed it was DK, and I don't think, like with my experience so far with knitting the Mio Mighty, I just don't know if DK like plant yarns in summer are going to be my thing. It just seems really heavy. And I also, yeah, the size range on this pattern is not particularly good. I don't know what it goes up to, but I think there's only 5 sizes. Oh, okay, yeah, so it only goes up to 108 centimeters, but that's intended to have 6 centimeters of positive ease, so yeah, not good, really. But on the flip side, I've been really inspired, you know, specifically by that image, and it feels a bit, I don't know, there was part of me that was wondering, like, what is fair here, you know? Like, is it fair for me to be inspired by it, but then create it differently? And I know that the answer is if I was outside of that limited size range, I would have to come up with something else. And I wouldn't feel any guilt then about reverse engineering or like mishmashing other patterns to make something similar. So I guess that's kind of my answer, or how I'm thinking of it, is that just because I happen to fall in the size range doesn't mean that I should like have to buy the pattern. So yeah, that was kind of a little conversation I was having. And the fact that it's DK really kind of sold me on not making it. So I think I'm probably gonna buy a fingering linen yarn, and I've bought the Tolster tank pattern from the Kiwiyarna, and I'll put up a picture. She has a kind of tie front vest version that she made herself. I think it was in the DK version of the pattern, but and it was like yarn plus mohair, or like wool plus mohair, so it's not quite the vibe I'm going for, but she has instructions on her Ravelry project about how she did it. I think I'll probably follow something roughly like that. So she mishmashed her camisole version with the vest version and then added a split, did I-cord edging, and I think I'll probably do something like that in a linen in fingering weight, maybe with slightly less of the outside decreases, because I think that the vest look I'm looking for is quite like vertical there, but still having the V-neck in the middle. So I think that's kind of my plan. I do have some fingering weight linen yarn, which is the BC Garn Lino. Sorry, it's a super grey overcast day here, so you probably can't tell anything about these colours. But to me, this looks like hay that hasn't quite finished drying, so it's like got that slight green tinge. And I really like the colour, but I think if I'm honest with myself, I want a white vest tie top thing. So I don't think I can use this to make it, because I think it will be dissatisfying to my vision. Which means I now have also 3 balls, which I think is 450 meters of this yarn that I also don't know what to do with. And I think I'm most tempted with this to cast on a lila top, I think by Kadri, because again, Maya from Mila Some Tinks, this is your episode, Maya, I hope you're watching, she did a test knit for Kadri and made that top, and it looks very cute. And I think, yeah, so the lila top is a fingering weight pattern, so that's all good. The only thing is that I don't really love this kind of a boat neck almost neckline on the lila, and I think I would rather something that sits a bit closer together, but maybe a tiny bit lower, so slightly longer straps. I think I'm picturing basically the silhouette of like the square neck like version of the Tolster tank, so kind of like almost a halter style. So I think I might buy that pattern and then modify it so that it starts with like fewer stitches and has more increases out to the underarms. I think that should be an easy mod to make, but if anyone has any pitfalls that I should avoid, let me know. So I think that that would probably be quite a good garment for this kind of hay linen yarn. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So those are kind of my immediate term plans, along with hopefully finishing my Mio Mai tea. I think only really chugging on my other whips kind of when I feel like it, or like, yeah, if they happen to feel like the right project to take with me for a day out, because I'm most inspired by summer knitting right now, and my socks and my Belle knot are not really something I'm going to wear soon. Okay, so we've talked about kind of my plans, just a couple of things in terms of inspiration. So one is that Maya from Miles and Tinks is putting out a pattern soon for a gorgeous skirt, and I am inspired by it. I'm probably not going to knit it immediately. I will flash up a picture. It's gaugeless, it's like made to measure, but it sounds like it's gonna work out. Like, it just sounds genius, so definitely have a look. So that's an inspiration. And another piece of inspiration is the Tide Loop tee by Other Loops, which I've had my eye on for like over a year, and I don't know when I'm gonna make it because it just never seems to be at the actual top of my list. But I love the motif so much. I love the inspiration of like the sand after a wave has kind of put it into like lovely divots. And I do miss the beach. Switzerland has stunning outside swimming in lakes and rivers, but I do miss the ocean sometimes. So yeah, just a little thing that caught my eye and has been on my list for a while to talk about. And then I also want to give some recommendations. So I have been just really enjoying the videos by Knotenkopf, Johanna. If you happen to have not come across her channel, I would highly recommend that you go and check it out. She just brings so much joy and like little bits of humor to her knitting, and I think everything she makes is stunning. I don't know, I just really love her videos, and I think that she seems like a very cool person. So that's my recommendation if you're looking for other YouTube channels to watch. And then I have a couple more recommendations that are just completely off the rails, unknitting related, and I'll give a couple of life updates too. So if you are here purely for knitting, I would suggest that you leave now, but it's been really lovely to have you. Don't forget to leave a comment or a like if you enjoyed this, and please, if you are interested in future videos, subscribe. Yeah, so a couple more recommendations that I genuinely like. They've changed my life a little bit, and I want them to change yours as well. Both related to kind of the new hot weather that we've been having. So number one is a food, and it is just, I've been enjoying the heck out of eating fresh cucumbers with a like dip made out of miso paste and mayonnaise, and I'll add a little bit of crushed garlic, a little bit of like chili powder, and oh my god, it's so good. So cucumber and like miso paste is a really standard izakaya snack in Japan. Like, you'd go to the pub and get it as like a bar food, but I find the mayo is also really nice for like some creaminess and like added dipability, and yeah, garlic and chili just add extra deliciousness. So yeah, I think I'll be living off that this summer, and if you try it out, please let me know, because genuinely so good, so easy, so delicious. And then my second recommendation is also kind of out of left field. Maybe I'm the only one who made it to nearly 30 without realizing this, but I've been looking for ways to get my hair out of my way as I'm sleeping, because it's hot, and so it kind of adds a lot of stifling heat, but also it's at a length now where like if I lie on it, it's very uncomfortable, and having to move it every time I roll over, it's just all quite annoying. My go-to for years has been to put it in like one plait down the back of my head, But that really does force me to be a side sleeper, which I am in general, but like I can't lie on my back with it. And it's still kind of in the way, you know? And I've tried like a high bun a couple of times, but always with hair tie. And it always kind of pulls uncomfortably, and then it also, like, the weight of the bun will pull up my hair as well. So it just hasn't been that comfortable. And I have started to get like hair care Instagram reels, you know, when the algorithm just decides that you like something all of a sudden, and you need to see it. But I got one reel, which I will try to dig up and link below because it's like a tutorial, that was just this woman showing that she like coils her hair into like a bun on the top of her head and then uses these like small claw clips and just like 3 of them and just like clips the bun to her head, and it is so good. I didn't think it would stay, but it's like so secure. The bun really is like snugly attached to your head instead of flopping around. It stays all night and it's really comfortable. Like there's no pulling. I don't know, amazing. I know it's not a groundbreaking thing, but at the same time, I didn't know it, and now that I do, I am sleeping so much more comfortably, and I feel like my hair is getting way less like friction and damage. So yeah, highly recommend trying that out if you also have long hair that is annoying when you sleep. And then in terms of just like some life updates, I am, like I said, I'm taking a break from work at the moment, but I'm not really like traveling, I'm just chilling. And I am enjoying things like swimming, spending like time just outside on the grass, like on a picnic blanket. Like I read an entire crime novel the other day. Like occasionally I love a murder mystery, like just occasionally. And I read a book in a day, which is something that only happens to me like once every 2 years. Like I don't read that much, and definitely not at that pace normally. But that was just great. Like spending a whole day outside, reading, snacking. Yeah, I've been enjoying that. And I also have been, doing tons of knitting and a fair bit of hiking, and like we went to stay in Switzerland. There's like these Swiss Alpine Club huts up in the mountains, and they're so bougie because they like feed you, and they've got like bunk beds with bedding. Like you're meant to bring like one sheet, basically like a sleeping bag liner, but everything else is provided. It's amazing. I even had a hot shower at this one. So we went like last week, my boyfriend and I. So yeah, honestly, just finally enjoying some nice weather here in Switzerland and having a little bit of a summer holiday. So that's kind of my only updates, but yeah, that's why I'm doing so much knitting, and also why I'm able to record a video. Like I think normally I'm only doing it like once a month. I think this is a little bit sooner than I normally would. Anyway, that's probably enough rambling for one day. I hope that this video made sense. I hope I'm not going to instantly remember things that I said yesterday that I missed this time around. Yeah, anyway, it was really lovely to have your company. Thanks for like coming and listening to all of this chatter, and I'd be really interested to know what you're working on, what you're excited about, and yeah. Oh, and if you are interested in staying in touch in other ways, I've got my Instagram and my Ravelry linked below. I think that's everything. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you're well, and I hope your knitting is all going well and to plan, and it's exciting and fun. Yeah, okay. I'll see you next time.